Welcome to Rising Tide Startups, where today's most exciting startup founders share their stories and strategies. They also deliver tangible lessons learned along the way that you can apply to your own startup. Each episode is a true masterclass. Make sure you take notes. Take it away, Kevin.
This is Kevin Pruitt with another episode of Rising Tide Startups, and my guest tonight is Kenny Gray. Kenny, thanks for joining us on Rising Tide.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We were just having a little chat offline talking about the differences in our weather patterns and where we're sitting right now, and I think I won. So I'm like today, the ideal temperature right now.
Yeah.
So.
You definitely today. I don't know if I end up at the beach this weekend, then I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, that won't be very nice, and that will flip the script for sure. But Kenny, we have a unique way of starting our podcast. I'd like to ask guests, instead of just saying, "Hey, tell us about yourself," I like to ask them a very specific question, and that is, if you and I met at a networking event, how would you introduce yourself to me?
That is definitely a tough question. Outside of my name and everything, I guess I would just say I'm a digital marketing enthusiast. I could say I'm a media buyer. I run email, we build websites, or I'm the guy that is, retargeting you with all those ads that you accidentally clicked on and you didn't want, and now we're spending a lot of money on you. But just overall, I'm just a guy who helps businesses help generate traffic and generate their the growth inside of their business, really. And, doing it a strategic way, doing it with the right tools. Just there's a lot of people out there trying to start something on their own. And if they, start this journey in the right way, they're going to see huge success, or not every time, but you're going to see better success if you, lead with the right foot, you set a good first impression. Some people just want to throw some stuff on the wall.
Right.
Not always the case. Not going to work like it used to.
I mean, your intro made me think, okay, so if I would hear that, what would be the three things that would come to mind? Number one, you're thinking, okay, you used to run your own business and you just kind of figured this out, in the process of trying to market your own business. And you thought, actually it's easier to run the marketing side of things for other people than to do it for my own business. Number two, you literally just started doing this and you're successful at it. And you thought, you know what, this is the service. This is my niche that I'm going to narrow down. Or number three, you're a faker out there like a lot of others. They're saying, I'm a digital marketer. So I don't think you're number three. So which are you?
I'm definitely not a faker. I mean, I'm definitely, full disclosure, like you kind of said it a second ago, I can really help people narrow in on who their ideal customer is, how to really improve their website, how to really break down the data. For myself, I find it a lot more difficult. And there's even like my own website. I'm like, this looks terrible. I gotta change something on here. And it's like, it'll take me all day versus another person. I'll have like 10 ideas for him right away. I'm like, all right, so I can get into your head. This is what I'm thinking. This is what makes sense. And this is where we can pivot. So it's a mix. Definitely not three. I definitely, we've worked with plenty of brands and clients, but we haven't been able to help every single person. Sometimes there's a lot more to selling online, especially these days, than it was 5-10 years ago. Yeah, and just in general too. There's plenty of businesses that come and go, not just small e-com businesses, but large ones too. They can't adapt with the times, or they can't keep up, or maybe you don't update your team. The team that you start with might not help you scale to where you need to be. So there's many factors, and that's a piece of where we kind of bring that to the table, where I can get you great traffic. I can get you looking sharp. We can go online and everything. But, if you don't have your whole back end dialed in and you haven't found something that's going to convert, it's still just not going to work for you.
Yeah. It's interesting. We do a little research on our guests before we say yes as guests. So we don't have number threes come on the show. So
okay, so you made a couple calls.
That's right. We can suss that out pretty quickly.
All right. Well, I'm glad I passed one or two. Somewhat of a test.
That's right.
Exactly. Like the website's weak, but it seemed okay.
Yeah. No, not at all. I'm just curious. So how did you get started in this? So take us back to kind of the genesis of the story here and say, nobody just wakes up one day and says, I'm a digital marketer here. So what was the kind of,
it's one of those things, like, I guess you could go to school for it now, but that's not going to get you in you need to prove yourself. You need to get the opportunity. And that's kind of what I I received and what I kind of created for myself. I put, positioned myself, took some risks as well, but it paid off just in a way financially, and in a way it was just more rewarding. I found what I like to do, because sort of what you just asked, like, was I running my own brand, or did I just kind of fall into it and it just really stuck? And that's probably like 80-70% of it, just from the background. So I mean, I worked in hospitality forever. I knew I didn't want to bartend forever. I had a good knack for it, so I'm good with conversing with people and communicating. Um, School, I wouldn't say is 100%, but my school and some of the work we were doing, I just realized it was like, hey, you can write this whole paper and do these equations to show like financial sheets, or you could do project B, which is like come up with your own idea, create the website for it, and a marketing plan. And I would always pick plans like that, just like, oh, that sounds more fun. So that was even like 12 years ago. So, I build like a Wix site. I come up with a whole marketing plan. It's funny because a company like the one that I came up with, and it is running now. I think I called it like Puppy Stay at the time. And it was like basically like Ubering people to do tasks for your pets, like walking them, or a doctor visit. I mean, it's not an amazing idea, but for junior year, I'll take it.
Sure.
So a little bit of that, a lot of analytics. I got really lucky. I got a position at the Golf Channel. Their headquarters was here in Orlando. I've worked at a lot of country clubs. Somehow the golf industry just keeps finding me. I'm not good at it. So if that's a follow-up, I'm not great. I can play, but I'm not great. I feel like that's everybody though. And while I was at the Golf Channel, I really got into SEO, data analytics, and reporting. I had some great mentors there. Did a little social media on like the YouTube side and updating those with an SEO kind of angle towards it all. And then from there, I got with a smaller agency where they let me become a media buyer, and I really understand the analytics side of it. So that it clicked for me right away. And then once that was kind of like, I was grooving there, I was like, I want to learn how to do email. I want to learn how to build funnels. I want to learn how to build the Shopify stores. I want to learn how to run it all. Like, because you start to see all these numbers and you're like, this makes sense. Like, this is awesome. Like, how do you generate that? Or
exactly.
What's behind the curtain? What cogs are there? Are they actually making this much money? Or are they like breaking even? So there's a lot of curiosity from my end where I'm just like, oh, let's see what's going on there. And it's the internet, and if you find the right places, maybe ask the right people, you can learn anything on the internet, especially with digital marketing. And then
that is so true. Yeah. That is,
and then I had the opportunity. So I had the opportunity of being with an agency where I got to spend clients' money. I was able to test. I had mentors around me who kind of helped along the way. And then, long story short, I kind of outgrew with the agency. I wanted to, I got to a point where I think I can just do it better on my own, freelance for a little bit. That went well enough to where I'm like, okay, well, now I don't have any free time. So let me start building a team around me. And here we are. And we just kind of keep finding that success. So now it's been a really fun journey, learning a lot. And I get the opportunity to help a lot of companies scale. And that piece is rewarding as well.
You find that there's a learning curve out there still for companies, like when you say, hey, we can help you with your digital marketing spend, we can help you with your social media. I mean, are there still companies out there, kind of these Luddites, you're going, what's the ROI on that? What's the
especially with tracking issues, but they're like, is it really even worth it? I've also, we've interviewed brands or clients where they might be doing like 1.5 million a month on their own, and they have crazy great profit margins, and they're just like, you know what, we thought about it, we don't even need ads, we don't even want them. And then of course we're like, well, if you're doing great, you're only going to do much better. So it's going to be very easy for everybody involved. But they're like, no, we're going to keep our costs low, and we're just going to keep doing our organic thing, which is fine. But you could definitely tell the difference between some of these companies who finally break through, and then almost anything they put out, it's going to convert, it's going to do well. So there are a few tiers behind, like, Nike or Adidas, who are playing completely, different games, or Coke, whatever it might be. But some of them, we've seen them go from 50K to 100K months, all the way to surpassing $1 million a month in gross revenue consistently every month for like the last year or two. So those ones, it's like, we figured it out. We have our system for this account. And almost anything we put, it's going to convert great.
So you started your own agency what year?
Let's see, 2019. So that was fun because just getting everything situated, learning how to do the whole tax piece, and then it's COVID.
Then bam, COVID, yeah.
Yeah. Fortunately, COVID worked out, I think, great for a lot of online businesses because nobody
you're on
could leave.
e-commerce for sure.
Yeah, definitely e-commerce because you
Yeah.
couldn't leave, so people were ordering a lot more. I don't think anybody thought it would last that long either. So in some cases, we had like a snack food brand. And we just kind of created a bulk sale out of that where you got to go to the store anyways if you want to get snacks, especially if they're low sugar or keto, which was in this case. Here, bulk order, you'll have them for a longer period of time, less stress. So we just kind of adapted to what was going on in our environment at the time, and it paid off.
I think that, that is it. We could stop right there and you could say we adapted to our environment, and that's the nugget that everybody takes away from the chat, because that's so applicable in so many areas. But so you talk us through size of team. Are you outsourced? Is it all remote? Are you working with people all over the world? What's kind of the makeup and the location of your team?
So the two internal people that are directly under me, we work together almost every day on every account. And then we have multiple contractors because that's just how agencies go. And if you want the best of the best, most people don't want to get hired. They know they can just do it on their own. You might be freelancers or other boutique agencies like myself. So we got Avery, who's in Pennsylvania right now. I'm sure I'm going to get him down to Florida within the next year, maybe one more winter. And it's a great time every time he comes. And then we have Kelly, who's over in Santa Monica.
Okay.
So it's great to have somebody on the other coast too. We have a lot of clients over there. They like to contact me around 8 or 9 p.m. here.
Exactly.
I'm like, I don't think it's gonna. If it's an emergency for sure, but hey, Kelly, can you kind of cover that one? And then we have a lot of graphic designers. That's I think that's a case by case. One of my friends, Dan Paracino, he's an award-winning video editor. There's another guy, Matt, who's a phenomenal graphic designer and has been working in digital marketing for 20 or 30 years. So he also adds a ton of experience just on multiple levels as we're doing this. He's because he's put the reps in, he has his 10,000 hours. He's hey, this is kind of what I'm seeing, this is what makes more sense. So it's great having that. And then James is in Utah. He's an IT SEO, Lord God, whatever you want to call him. Site structure, dealing with Google, Google My Business, any local SEO. Definitely way more. He's very brilliant, I'll just say that. So he brings a lot to the table and he can execute very, very fast. So but we create different relationships all over the place. So I think that's huge. And we always refer people to each other, especially if somebody can do a better job, or sometimes teams outgrow a brand and you kind of need to upgrade your system. So it's a great partnerships just going around all over the place.
So imagine you and I are stepping on an elevator. We go get about 10 floors. You got about 45 seconds. So give me your best GraytMedia sales pitch for my company.
Oh man, that's tough. I'm not even the best salesperson, so that's the worst question. So yeah, I guess if we were on an elevator and somebody asked where we're doing at GraytMedia, we primarily work with e-commerce businesses, small to mid, and we help them get to where their potential target audience is going to be in the digital space, which is what digital marketing is. And then we optimize that journey through backend automations through email and SMS. And then we continue to update that user experience on the website, which we all use. So I can just say, every time you go on a website and it's not loading, how frustrating is that? Those are things that we solve, making the user journey from going onto the website, finding the product you want and checking out, making it as seamless as possible. Because if it takes too long, too many steps for them to make that purchase, it's going to be, you're just going to lose your customer. And I think I'm past 45 seconds now because I went on a tangent. And then ultimately, we're just a group of people who are, genuinely interested. We don't take on everyone. And we want to create a solid partnership. And if it's not a win-win, it's not a good deal for us.
Well, or the client.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We tell some people like, we don't think you're ready for ads. This might not really make sense, or or you really laying down those expectations is huge, because some people might have like a $2,000 product. You're not going to usually get a 1-day click and purchase out of those types of people. So honestly, helping them with their entire a holistic approach on how their business should run and where they should focus their time. We see tons of people who just waste time in places where it's like, that's not really generating income for you right now, and that doesn't really, it's more effort than you need to be putting into that. We see that with like ad creatives all the time. It's like you want to test a lot, but you want to test systematically and get good data, or else you're just going to get skewed data sets back.
I mean, bad data leads to bad decisions. I mean, it just is.
Which I've learned the hard way too. It's just if you follow the wrong data, if you're just trying to get clicks or views, you're going to get clicks and views. If you want to try and get purchases, you're going to have to dig a little deeper, take a different approach. Because being viral doesn't mean sales. It can be great, and it's not always the case. There's always outliers, but engagement and conversion, completely different types of metrics and KPIs you should be paying attention to. Also depends on your objective too.
Right. And that's, I mean, sounds like to me that's kind of like part of your discovery process when you're onboarding new clients, and or at least even going through the sales process with them and saying, okay, is this a good fit? I mean, here's what we think we can put in place for you based on your current state.
Our goal is to help you bring your product or your service to market in the best possible light and give the best possible first impression. But sometimes we're like, sometimes it just doesn't hit. You might have to pull back and then kind of see like, why are people bouncing off of your website? Where's the disconnect? Is the price too high? Is somebody undercutting you? Or maybe there's a piece of your website that's broken. We had something like that recently where there was 3 days and we weren't seeing sales, and we're like, all right, let's click on the ad, go through it, try and buy something. And it's like, there's no button here, guys.
Wow. Well, I thought you were going to say the dreaded 404 error or something.
I've seen that happen as well, where links just have been updated, but you don't think about where these other links may exist. They may have like your extension just has an S added instead of just being, singular. And now it's just going to that 404 page.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we definitely made the mistakes, but I even tell my team all the time, I'm like, I've made all these mistakes. So it's like, if I'm implementing any rules or like review process, it's because I've felt foolish before and haven't done it. So I'm just trying to help you avoid that. But even if any of those, sometimes things slip through the crack, I already know once it happens, I know how they feel. So I'm like, well, it'll probably never happen again. So that was a huge learning step for you.
Yeah. My pain is your gain. For sure. We're going to make it that way. But I'm curious, like, how do agencies set rates? Is it a percentage of the ad spend? Is it, it's just kind of a flat retainer rate? I mean, how does your pricing structure set?
Yeah, that is an evolving answer.
I think it would always be,
But you also, you're not trying to rip anyone off, but you want to, from my point of view, we're always I want to be invested in your brand. I want to make sure that there's no resentment. And every time I'm working on your account, or if you DM me or have to text me on the weekend, I don't want to be upset about it. And I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage of you, where you feel like you might be getting swindled. So it's trying to find that balance. You might kind of pay attention to the market, but also it's about the value that you bring to the account. So say on paid ads, maybe there might be a retainer, and we deliver on our end, because it does take a lot of manpower and work and, just monitoring. But then if we know we're hitting certain goals and we're helping that business grow, we still want to come up with a win-win situation. So maybe a percentage on that ad spend, given that you're hitting certain goals, or living up to whatever terms you lay out, or even a percentage of revenue as it comes in, which would maybe be even smaller, but still it's just like, your growth is my growth. So yeah, when you want to change something at Thursday night and we got to do it before the weekend, we're happy about it, because we could all come out on top in this situation.
I mean, is that part of your sales proposal, your quotes that says, okay, here are the percentages increases that we want to meet. We're going to meet this at, quarter one, this quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. So there's some KPI expectation, I guess, on the consumer's part, on the client's part, that says, you know
Yeah,
what, I can
clients.
measure that against what you quoted me, type thing.
Yeah, that is a tough part, and especially with the tracking issues. So if you're trying to go by like CPAs, or if you're trying to go by return on ad spend, those numbers can be really skewed, or
Yeah.
maybe the pixel glitches on a day and you get a ton of misfires, but it looks like you did an amazing job. We don't want to go by that either.
Right.
A good measure a lot of accounts are using right now is like a media efficiency ratio. And really all that is you want to get it. Depends on if you already have some previous data, or if you already or if you're just starting from scratch. Overall, I know as a business, they just want to grow. So you take everything you're spending, basically all your cogs and everything, and then how much are you generating? So the difference between there, you'll get a ratio. So the ratio should be continuing to improve. Same thing with gross revenue. With this supplement company I took over in July, they were doing like 25,000 a month or so. So obviously, you know, you ask somebody like, how much do you want to make? Like, I want to make $1 million. It's like, okay, well, first, like before we get there, let's get to, you know, 50K. And then from there, then we'll have that compounding recurring revenue with our customer base. And then over time, those repeat customers will, you know, fill in the blanks. We'll get kind of start generating those new customers month over month. So, all right, we hit 50K. All right, let's try and get 20% up again over the next month.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of a traditional sense, even if you were like a retail store, you know, month over month, year over year, you're trying to look for, you know, that 7, 10, 15, 20% increase just to see consistency and growth.
Right.
Especially if you have something that involves like repeat purchases, like a consumable.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it's easier to go from 10 to 100 than it is maybe from 0 to 10 sometimes, you know, because once you get that
Definitely.
flywheel spinning, it's easier to exponentially grow that. But I'm curious, like you mentioned it just a second ago, you said, you know, hey, I want to kind of convey to my team, you know, here's some policy I put in place or strategies I put in place because of the lessons I've learned, you know, mistakes that I've made in that
Oh yeah.
process, and, you know, learn from that. But if you were talking to, you know, a new founder of a company, regardless of what industry they're in, you know, what are one or two just kind of quick bullet points that you think, if I would have known these when I started in 2019, it would have been so much easier, and it would have made my life easier as a founder. Our team would have been stronger. What are one or two kind of quick bullet points that you could share, just like agnostically, you know, not necessarily specifically in your industry, but things that you've thought of as a founder?
Some things that would come to mind. Obviously, there's a few, but I guess like if we're going generalized and vague, so I'd say like on a granular level, I'd say just make sure you review your work, give it some space, have somebody else look it over, look at it again, revisit it if you have to. But even like I mentioned before, like, you know, you created all the ads. We do like a post ID method where we have a library of all of our ads, and we use the ideas of those ads to launch everything. Sometimes as you're moving those from the sheet into your accounts, you know, things can get mixed up. Basically, you get the wrong number, or the wrong number post over. Same idea when we're doing Google. You might be, you know, the copywriter might send over all 15 of your headlines. You go copy paste them over. And sometimes they put like quotations around it just by like a default that you don't see in there.
Right.
So if you're just copy pasting, listen to a podcast, maybe you're hungover, you might not be paying attention to everything. Yeah, and then spelling errors, that's a huge one. I worked on a keto brand where the CMO was like a English professor at Duke. I had no chance. No chance.
Grammarly will not help you.
No. So I was, you know, new to copywriting when I was writing for ads and emails. So I was helping on that side. And what was it? I was using an ellipses, which is 3 periods, only 3 periods. I thought I'd make it more conversational and add a bigger pause for, you know, theatrics. So I put 5 periods, and man, she tore me apart. She was just like, all right, first of all, if you're ever going to use an ellipses, which I had to like Google and then see how to pronounce it, she was like, it's 3, not 2, not 5. It has to be 3. I was like, okay. And then she kind of backed herself up, like, this is what I used to do, and this is why I'm right and you're wrong.
That's
and
funny.
I just had to eat it. I'm just like, I'll make those updates right away.
You said, hey, it's 4 if it's at the end of a sentence, right? You get to add a
I
period on the
get
end of
it.
it.
So I'm gonna have to Google it now, and I got to download Grammarly. So yeah,
I
review
love it.
your work, because
Yeah.
and double check. You might get another set of eyes on it. You might have capitalized something that didn't need capitalization. You might be adding a space between commas or something that you shouldn't be doing. Grammar is hard, right? So
You can lose
and it's
credibility
okay.
in a hurry, for
Oh,
sure.
that's what I've
Yep.
told my team too. I'm like, guys, like, if we do this and you send this over, and the client sees this and we just send it over, they're gonna think we're a bunch of dummies.
Yeah.
And why we did this, we are a bunch of dummies, but we can fix this.
That's right. We can
So
mask
little
that.
things like that. Yeah, so that's a tough one. And then I think from like a higher level, I'd say keep things simple. I think I almost say it like every show, but and we say it when we're coming up with strategy, and when we're kind of going over it with the client, is plan the work and work the plan. You already came up with the idea, you put a lot of effort into it, you came up with the system that would hopefully make sense. You need to give it some time to develop, because that's how marketing, that's how advertising, that's how sales work. People aren't just like, hey, I came out with a beverage, you want to try it, it's $5. It's like, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
Hold on. Show me some videos over the next week, do a TikTok dance, and I might click on your website.
And it's
So
got to be
yeah,
a
I'd
TikTok
say,
dance.
yeah. No, I
Got to
mean, if
throw
it
one of
works
those
for you,
in.
it works.
That's exactly right. I love those, and they're simple but so true and so powerful. I mean, I've been doing this for 4 years, and I don't think anybody has ever really pointed out the idea of. I mean, that others have said, keep it simple and niche down and all those things, but I don't think anybody's ever really been so pointed at that says review your work.
Oh yeah.
Your work is your brand. Your work is the reflection of who you are and the work you do and the quality that you provide. And if you send out crappy work, you're going to have a crappy perspective. The client's going to have one of you. They're going to equate the work with who you are. And
Yeah,
it is
absolutely. I'm a
so
big
true.
activities and sports guy, so I find it really fascinating, how some of these athletes become amazing, even when, they're average people. But you find success in those details and those little wins. So
Yeah.
like all of those reps, all of those at bats, all of those hours you're putting in, like it adds up and compounds over time, and that's where you find your big wins.
Yeah.
So on a personal level, yeah, you want to give it your all, but don't just send it because it's done, then review it. That was a big one with my mom growing up. It was just like, all right, well, make sure you reread your essay.
Yeah, there's a story that I think it was Kobe Bryant, that I think they were practicing maybe for like a dream team, and he's out there early practicing, and a guy comes out, and one of his teammates is out, and he's playing and he's practicing. He really puts in the work, and he's tired and he's ready to go, and he starts packing up, and Kobe is like, where are you going? Why are you leaving? And the guy said, are you kidding me? He said, I put in so much work, and he said, I left the gym and Kobe's still there. And he said, later on, I asked him, we were having dinner or something. He said, why in the world were you, you knew when I came in there, you were working early, you stayed the whole time I was there, and then you stayed after I left. And he goes, I wanted to show you that I wanted it worse than you did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just plant that seed. I mean,
Yeah.
just it sounds like Michael Jordan talking there, that just says,
Yeah.
I'm
No,
gonna beat
I'd
you just
say,
by
yeah,
staring at you,
those are some incredible athletes, and there's plenty of people out there with the same stature, the same height, speed, whatever, but they outworked their competition.
Yeah.
And just a little bit day by day. No, yeah, I love all of that stuff. It's just like, okay, so it is achievable. I was just lazy yesterday, so I just gotta restart today, gotta put it in.
Time to hit the reset button.
Yeah, and the thing, like with those guys, when they say it, maybe before they get big, they sound crazy, but when they become great in whatever they might be, or even in market, like Ogilvy, it's like you're gonna take what he says serious, because he's proven himself.
Yep.
He's the big dog, all these people who have already achieved greatness and continue to do so. It's just like, well, You can't argue with that. Yeah.
Yep.
Put in the work, outwork
Yep.
people. Yeah.
That is so true. So true. Well, Kenny, it's been great chatting with you tonight. And I just wanted to, as we wrap up, is there anything that you would just like to close us with, that just kind of wrap a bow around this great chat we've had, and then maybe just finish with telling people where the best place to find you online?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we'll reiterate the, find success in the details, review your work, keep everything simple, make it easy on everyone. And outside of that, if you ever want to get in touch with me, just have a quick chat, or if you guys need help, you can find me on GraytMedia.com. That's GRAYT. It is a really fun pun on my last name.
I saw that. Yeah, absolutely.
But I realize some people say like Gray T. I'm like, but I guess I can see how it depends on the capitalization. But yeah, if you want to get in touch, just GraytMedia.com, or any like the social medias. I'm all over the place.
Sounds great. Well, Kenny, thank you again for just taking time tonight and really just playing your part in helping all boats rise in a rising tide. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me. You too.
Another episode in the books. We hope you heard some great takeaways. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on iTunes and YouTube. As always, thanks for listening to Rising Tide.